find your passion and then try and make money with it.
Create as much content as possible.
It's kind of similar to that saying of more money, more problems.
I think you have to create something cool and exciting that stands out and is a little bit different than everyone else.
Ability to really change the way that content creation is handled. All right, so we are here, Logan and myself. I am Nate, and this is the Clout podcast. Today, we are going to talk about a variation of different things, but most importantly, we have Founders Day coming up. So Logan and I started this business in 2019. It's now 2025, and February 1st is our dedicated Founders Day. What do you think about that, Logan? How fast has this time been from starting the business to where we're at now?
It's crazy, man. I remember the very beginning and kind of it seemed like so far ago, but it happened so quick. And it's crazy how much we've grown and all the different things that we've learned over what is this now going on 6 years, right?
I was never a mathematician, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. So, in this podcast episode, I really wanted to dive into kind of our journey, how we started, some of the things that, we had to create to grow to where we are, and kind of how business is going now and all the really cool, exciting things that we've learned over the years to bring to, offer our clients and stuff.
Absolutely. What do you think, just from your perspective, what do you think has been one of the most transformative lessons that we've learned in business? Like, not just necessarily the type of service or product that we created for our clients, but what is one of the biggest takeaways you think that you've received from us and this journey that we've been going on together with?
Oh man, dude, there's so many different things that I could point out and be like, these were, turning points, or these are the things that really had an impact on our business, or the most fun times. But, now 5 years in, I'm thankful for having you along with this on this journey. I mean, dude, it's tough. A lot of creators face burnout. So, I'm glad that we're able to be, good friends and be able to build this together and, still be able to maintain a really good friendship and not hate each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I would say that's probably one of the biggest things, because we work with a lot of independent creators, and man, the problems that they deal with, and to be able to go 5-6 years in, I mean, as an independent creator, that's tough.
Yeah, I feel like as far as creating goes, I feel like that it's so easy just to get burnt out. I mean, somebody who constantly has to, well, first, somebody who's creative enough to be some sort of content creator that has skills using a camera or a video or creating video and stuff like that. I feel like that person probably got into creating content because they have a passion for it. And I feel like being able to mix your passion with business isn't really always the best case scenario. So I think that a lot of people will say, find your passion and then try and make money with it. And I think my biggest takeaway has been to do the exact opposite. I think that I'm passionate about entrepreneurship, and I think that's what my passion is in some regard, but I also have a passion for just creating content, being creative and taking photos and stuff. But I feel like it's a very tricky thing, and I think that's why a lot of people do encounter burnout, is just because they're worried about attaching a dollar to their passion, when I feel like your passion should not really be worrying about a dollar attached to it. I feel like if you can create a job or create a business or something like that to free up the time for you to chase your passion, I think that's winning. And I think that's what people should really understand about creating a business, especially a creative one.
Yeah. Besides, if you turn what you love into a job, odds are with enough time, you're probably going to not be passionate about that anymore, because, just this business side of things really just takes so much energy and takes so much passion to make it work that kind of just drains, and there's this one story of a really good baker, and this entrepreneur says, wow, you're such a good baker, you should start a bakery shop. And he says that that's, really bad advice, because one, you'll end up hating the thing that you love, and two, that person's a baker, they're not a business person, right? And they might be, but it's not necessarily a win-win. But you know, I mean, you got to have fun with what you do, and you have to pivot, and you have to be able to be open to learning and growing, and and doing more things because, I mean, if you're doing it for your livelihood, I mean, you got to keep thinking of how to grow and how to do those things. So
Yeah, I feel like that you can really get just lost in the sauce of just the whole business, like business goal of trying to chase money. And I mean, like I said, I like entrepreneurship. I was just asked the other day, like, I was discussing these different businesses that we're creating with Clout, with Omni, with Shooter. And I was asked a question and it was like, why are you doing this? What are you getting from this? And personally, it was just a conclusion I had was like, I just like creating things and seeing it come to fruition. And also, my mother in law is in the hospital, unfortunately. And I was like sitting there in the hospital and I was just seeing a lot of the different processes that were taking place. And in the conversation, I remembered just how I was feeling in the hospital when I was asked that question about like why I'm doing this. And I was thinking about like the next thing that I would be passionate about is actually really changing the world in creating something that really benefits like everybody. And I'm not talking about creating a social media channel or a social media network or something like that. Like I'm talking about improving the quality of life. And I think that what we've been doing is great. It helps people like a group of people, realtors right now, and then creators. It helps them improve their lives and make money and stuff like that. But I think that the next step is like chasing something just world changing, whether if it's in like medical stuff or like med tech, or if it's something like space, even just something a lot bigger to just move humanity forward.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited with, the things we're working on and with the business Shooter as well. I think it's definitely going to increase the happiness that content creators have. It's going to put more money in their pocket too. I think a lot of people, when they start as a content creator, eventually they reach a point where, they're maxed out and they're trying to run a business. And then they think, okay, maybe I could do this. And then they start an agency and they're like, wow, I kind of have to take a pay cut in order to start an agency. And then, once you reach $500,000, you're like, okay, I'm making as much as I was as an independent creator. Now you're like, okay, how am I going to balance all this stuff? And that might not even be your passion for the long run. So, having someone, giving people a platform to be able to run their businesses as they want, and even as like a side business to make, that additional income as a passion. So they're only picking up projects when they do. Maybe they have, in their job or something. That's like, some really cool stuff that, I'm excited to bring to the world. And I really think it's going to change the world for many people. It's going to make, everything a lot easier for content creators and stuff. But
I totally agree. And that's crazy that I feel we've had some ideas like in the middle of these last 5, 6 years. And I feel like that a lot of these ideas have come and gone, but these other things like Omni and Shooter have really just stayed like in the back of our heads, and they're bigger ideas, but like you're saying, I do think that they will. I personally think it has the ability to really change the way that content creation is handled. And like you're mentioning, just like being able to figure out how to impact those creators' lives so that they could just get back into doing things that they're passionate about. And I think that we do have that opportunity at hand with what we're doing because it does free up a lot of the business side of things. And, right now we're currently trying to make an impact with each booking for creators. But I think you're hitting, the nail on the head with something a little bit deeper that's actually allowing creators to get back to the passion of content creation versus the business side. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I like how you were able to pull that out of what we're doing.
yeah. So I mean, we've worked 5 years. We had a lot of different things we've done, some failures, a lot of failures, but a lot of lessons and a lot of successes. Obviously, you learn a lot more from a failure, but we've had, enough success to bring us here. So I was on the phone last night with a photographer that we're working with down in San Diego. I just was asking about his business, kind of where he's at and stuff like that. And then we started talking about our story, and I was like, "Wow, it's crazy." And I was telling him, like, in the very beginning when we started putting some good effort into transitioning from a side hustle for us both to something full time. It was like literally waking up in the morning, going out to the Bay Area, shooting, coming back, editing, falling asleep editing, dreaming about editing, wake up, go back out to the Bay Area. I'd be driving, you'd be editing, and doing that over and over and over again. And it was just like that was the definition of like burnout, like in the making. And I think you have to struggle in order to figure out, dang, I need to find a solution for this. You kind of have to face that problem head on and be like, wow, like let's come up with something. So over the last few years, we would just implement, different systems to streamline things, right? And man, it was tough. We built it, we'd built it before, and we're like, okay, how do we improve it? How do we improve it? And I'm excited to be where we are at today, having the team members involved and a profound system that we can do this at scale and not be burned out as individual content creators running around doing everything.
Yeah, and thankfully we had just even my wife, Amanda, step in and use some of her ability to pick up some of those first initial shooters because it was hard. I mean, between trying to shoot and upload content and do all this other stuff, well, it just goes to show how important it is to have a team surrounding you because even now we're filled with a bunch of tasks that are more like business side, like we're working on the business instead of in it. But I mean, those things even pile up, and then it's like, okay, who can we bring on the next position to try and facilitate this so we can continue growing to the level that we're aiming for? Because I feel like it's kind of similar to that saying of more money, more problems. And it's like the bigger you get, it's like more scaling, more problems, right? And there's a lot more things and opportunities at scale, but then it's like, you don't know what you don't know. And when you get to that level, there's always something new that we just didn't know and we wouldn't have known.
Yeah, that's crazy. Let's talk about some like these cool projects we worked on in the past. What was one project that stands out to you where you're like the most cool project I've ever shot?
The most cool project I have ever shot would probably be for John Spica. And that was just because it was the famous Santa Monica homes, the ones that are used in the memes. And I think that was probably really cool because it was almost like it was a different level. It was like I just got to LA and we're trying to get these deals, and I was in a new place I'd never been in, and I was so just like awestruck of being there in Los Angeles trying to make something with the business that we've created. And we landed John Speak. And I remember the first house, it was like right when we started using our ninjas. And the reason why we did it was because these homes there in Santa Monica, if for whoever's listening, if they don't know, it's these homes that have ocean views. They're right on the sand. And we needed to use these ninjas, which were able to pull a lot of colors and change contrast and brightness and exposure and stuff like that of different scenes. We needed to use that because we needed to show the ocean through these huge windows. So I remember I don't know what happened, but there was a setting where I had like the display of the camera on, and the Ninja recorded all of the footage with the display of my camera. This was the first time like we were using the Ninja, and then it was also the first time like we were dealing with homes of this caliber. Luckily, he was super cool about it. I went back out there, and I made a really cool video, and we just ended up continuing to do business with them. And yeah, I was able to see those homes there in Santa Monica, and I think that was kind of a cool turning point. Or even like shooting with Chriselle when you and I went there to LA to do that. That was pretty cool. That was just like that was also a different taste because it was such more of a production. There's so many more people involved, and I think that was cool. What about you?
I've got to say, man, back in 2019, I would say we shot a project out in Ketchum that won for that celebrity. That was cool because I mean, at that point, I had not a lot of experience working like inside a lot of nice homes, but I was really good at drones. So I was just, getting a ton of footage with my drone. But yeah, for context, that house was like 20,000 square feet, a ton of glass. It was like a lodge, all modern, surrounded in, like serene woods and pine trees and stuff like that out in Ketchum, Idaho. But what stood out for the most part was that's sort of the beginning of, working with Blake. So Blake was living out in Boise. He was a good friend of mine. And I was like, gonna go visit him. And I was like, hey, dude, I kind of want to go visit this market out here, Ketchum. There's some nice homes. So I hit him up and he's like, yeah, let's go. So, we had drove out there and like I said, he had no experience using a gimbal or a camera, but I was like, hey, dude, just pretend you know what you're doing. So, I reached out to the agent over Zillow and I'm like, hey, I'd love to shoot this home. I'm a really good videographer and I'll do it for free. So, whatever. We lined it up and we go out there. So, as soon as we show up, this agent like pulls up in a super fancy car. He's like, he represents like Ashton Kutcher and all these people that are buying these really, really expensive homes out there. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And we go in there and I'm like, Blake, just press record and walk through the entire house and record everything you can. And I think a few of his clips were like maybe 30 minutes long. And, I, in context, maybe we grabbed like a minute of all the footage he got. And I was just spending like an hour and a half just droning the entire outside, just having hella fun. And then by the time I went back inside, yeah, he's like, "Hey, you guys got to go now." And that's it. So we left. We put a pretty, cool video together, and got Blake excited about, working with us. And he said, he's down. So we got him some gear, and took a year of him kind of fiddling around with the gear before he's like, I actually want to try this and do it. So, but that was a really cool project.
Yeah, I feel I that's kind of the thing that I miss. I was thinking about it the other day, and I feel like the muscle memory would come in, but I was questioning myself. I was like, I wonder how I would be if I had to do just like a full package. If I had to do photos, video, 3D, drone, floor plan, and just nail it after this time that it's been. But I feel like I could probably do something. I feel like I would probably get even more creative because over this time you like aren't faced with just going in and rinse and repeating. Although, we do take our time, and I know everybody who shoots with us takes their time, but there's just something about taking just some sort of break that can allow you to see angles differently. And I think that if I were to go out there, I'd probably really focus on creating just a cinematic, going for like a very cinematic approach that really shows the functionality of a home versus just kind of going through like a normal tour.
Absolutely. That's funny, because I mean, as of last year, that was one of our main goals is, hey, let's build a team and get out of the field. And I mean, we were pretty much in the field full time for, a bulk of, 4 or 5 years, being able to, kind of bring on a team and build a team of various photographers with, various different backgrounds. It's crazy because some of these guys and girls we work with, they are amazing content creators and they do things that, we wouldn't normally do. And it brings like a fresh eye to our business. And I mean, I'm just so impressed with, the work that, they can put together. And it's funny because when we have clients that we've worked with for so long and we book them with one of our newer photographers, they ask, well, can you come? And I'm like, trust me, like they are amazing. They do a really good job. And, I think a lot of it is just the relationship. They want to maintain the relationship because, we always, BS with our clients and have a good time when we're at the shoot. So having someone new out there is, I don't know, it's just something new, it's change. I think it just brings a fresh eye to our business and also other, real estate teams that use us, like, they look at it and they're like, okay, I want to do this. And it allows them to get creative and stuff.
Absolutely. What do you think is the next step for content creation within real estate? Do you think that there's going to be something that's very game changing? I know that I've seen recently some photos being used to create video clips and stuff like that. What do you kind of foresee being added to this industry to just really change it up? Because at first it started with like using different music started going from very classical, traditional music to almost more technical, or I mean, techno. And then it went from very simple video clips and transitions to like speed ramps and doing lots of zooms and stuff. So, I mean, what's next? What do you think?
Okay, hear me out. I think the main change we're going to see is going to be in video, and the reason why is I say that is because more of these platforms online are geared towards video. I think that now that we have better 5G and all this better internet access, I think that people are able to see really high quality videos quickly. And, everyone's attention span is a lot shorter. So I think what we're probably going to see is shorter videos of homes and not really showing a home off like a tour and walking through the entire home. I think that, Matterport does a good job at that. But I think more of like an advertisement, right? Where it's showing off the home and getting someone excited to want to see it in person. Like, I think that if you have a shorter video that just kind of shows the highlights, it piques people's curiosity and interest to want to learn more. But if you give it to them and you give them the whole thing and you paint the whole picture, you got to have that sort of curiosity. You kind of want to learn more and know more. So I think short videos, right? Like, call me crazy, but 20 to 30-second videos.
Yeah, I that kind of reminds me of the one discussion that we had where we were talking about just the future of real estate marketing. And I feel like that we're still on the same page of how we're thinking. And I personally think that if agents would purchase or be interested in purchasing like 10 short clips or something like that, between the 20 and 30-second mark, like you're mentioning, and use that to continuously to promote a listing over a month or two or however long it's taking nowadays. But I mean, it was like a week last or two couple years ago, but it's been a little bit longer. But if they were to take 10 different videos, all short form, I mean, even in just like portrait style, right? You get like one maybe minute video highlight, and then the other ones are just creative content around the home, video content. I think that that would be probably pretty game changer. I remember this one client in LA. That's all he wanted, and this was 2020. And he had been doing it and was like, I don't want a video longer than 1 minute. That's it. And this was like before short form content. This was before TikTok. And he was like, I don't want anything more than 1 minute. I don't care to show the whole house. Just make it look cool, like a promotional. Like, he didn't care. And I think he was onto something even back then, is like, we shouldn't be showing everybody every single room, because this is what happens is that when you have all the information about something, we're so like, we have so many different interests and just things that we want to get very granular and specific about, that if we see a room that has maybe some different type of staging that we don't really like, I feel like that we would just completely shut it down. Like, if you were looking for an Airbnb and you wanted a place to stay, it make like the more like information you have, it actually is worse. Like, you want enough to give people a sense of like what they're working with, but the more information you have out there, I think it actually hurts you. And if you're able to get somebody on a phone call or get their information, they're interested, and even do like a virtual walkthrough with them, at least you've made that connection with them so that you have their contact information, you can follow up with them. But I think just the way it is now is there's just too much information out there with these houses. Got to make it a little bit more sexy and appealing that way.
For the viewers watching, Nate and I have this thing, we call it the third conscious. And when we talk and collaborate, it allows us to come up with different ideas and thoughts that we probably wouldn't come up with independently. So the third conscious is definitely activated right now. And I just thought of something really crazy. So I was thinking about the process of looking at homes, right? So let's just use the top apps that most consumers are on. Let's go to Zillow, Redfin, maybe I'll throw like realtor.com in there or something. And what you do is when you're looking for a home, you put in your criteria, right? Where you're like, I'm looking for a home up to this price. I need 3 bedrooms. I need this and that. And the first thing you see is a hero image. The next step is clicking on that. If you like that hero image, you click on it and then you start going through the photos to kind of get a sense of layout, and that takes time, right? So say if you were to look at, let's say, 10 different homes, and each home you look at and really go in depth, it takes, let's say, a minute or 2 minutes. It takes 20 minutes to look at 10 homes, right? Now imagine this. Imagine a platform or a way to look at homes where you still put in your criteria, but it's video based. And what you do is when you say, hey, I need a 3 bedroom up to $1 million, this, that, it's like a scroll feature, like Reels sort of. And you see a video and it shows you all the highlights where the seller really needs to focus in this video on what is going to sell that home. Is there a pool? Show that pool. Is there a this? Is there that? And making 15 or 20 to 30-second short videos of homes where someone could look at 10 homes in 3 minutes versus 10 homes in 20 to 30 minutes. Like imagine that. And just sales points, we have like, hey, like there's a limit where it's like just 30-second video is max. I think that would be really, really neat. So, people could like shop for homes in a totally different way.
Yeah. It's like it kind of makes you think of how online selling has really changed in social media because of TikTok. And I think Amazon was even exploring some sort of partnership with them a while ago. I don't know if they still are. But one of the things that really took shape on social media was live selling. And if you think about the way QVC was on television, people would go and watch individuals talk about different products, showcasing them, using them, whether if it's in the kitchen, a house, or whatever the product is, and people would just buy it like right there. They'd call the number and order it, give their information, and get sent to them. And I feel like there is a possibility to really take some of that experience and mold it into selling traditional products like homes, something that is like very big. And like maybe it doesn't start out to where somebody's just like buying it online, which that has happened before. But if somebody could see it, at least get them interested. And if you were showcasing it in a way that is different, I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, you're going to capture people's eyes.
100%, man. It's crazy. I think that it's going to evolve, right? And the companies that are running the show, they have to either adjust and create something like this, or a newcomer is going to come in and catch them by surprise. So, I mean, just like we saw, as of recently, the new AI models was DeepSeek compared to GPT. It's like if you get complacent, you have an outstanding product ChatGPT has, right? But someone comes in and they're like, okay, I'm going to do it for cheaper or differently. And then all of a sudden you're like, what the heck? So
I think that even Zillow, I mean, you're talking about the number one place to go find homes. And even with Zillow, I feel like that the experience is very technical. And I get that you should be having a lot of information on the home, but it's just like not pretty. I mean, you have the photos and stuff, and you have videos or whatever, but the way that you're looking and the experience, I feel, is just so clunky. And you have to think about how individuals, like if individuals are always on social media or dating apps, that the screen size and the real estate on the screen is taken up by the piece of content, and they're making it super easy to swipe or scroll. Like you kind of have to adapt into that way of how people are looking for stuff, and you have to cater to that, because the moment that you try something completely different or you're not adapting to it, really just leaves it open for somebody like how you're saying to just come in and shake things up. Because right now it's currently, I feel like, a little outdated the way that you search for homes on Zillow, and you're talking about a powerhouse of a business.
yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild, but we've seen a lot of changes. We've seen a lot of technologies arise over the last 5 years, and the use of 3D has been crazy. New applications to be able to create floor plans using LiDAR and different things. I mean, it's getting easier and easier for people to create content. And if you're a real estate agent or if you're a shooter, wherever your background is, watching this, we always advise our real estate clients to create as much content as possible without having to break the bank or invest in a team to go out there, like shooting their own social media content, just getting on their phone and doing these things. Because ultimately, like, there are so many different tools out there. And I think that, the agency and the photographers, it's more like a done for you, and it's a really, really high quality. But I mean, just getting familiar with like using your phone and, doing different things to create content on it is, I mean, just get good at it, just get good at it. And the technology it's crazy. Like, I mean, we do a lot of photo shoots nowadays using our iPhone for videos because it's just so much cheaper to produce the content. Everyone has an iPhone, so a lot of the barriers of entry aren't there, with our photographers that are shooting videos on their phones and stuff, and it definitely gives a different look to the type of content too. Like when you're looking at content online and it's like super, super, polished up, it looks great. But a lot of times, just basic organic iPhone content does really, really well as well. So it's like, I would say it's nice to have a balance of both, but if you do have a listing, hire a, photographer, videographer, someone like us to go in there and create really high-end product, but you should be making like 10 different reels on your phone for yourself for that listing. Why not? Don't just like, depend on that super high polished stuff. Like, try and get out there and get people to see like what you see, right? And tell that story.
I agree. How about we kind of switch gears a little bit into some of the other products that we work on? So maybe we can touch real quick on Omni and just how we wanted to go for that and maybe how that kind of spurred what we're doing with Shooter.
Yeah, let's do it. So why don't do you want to talk about the platform that we're using for the CRM, or do you want to kind of dive into social media stuff, or which do you prefer?
We can talk about just our platform.
Got you.
I think the social media stuff is, I mean, it's a feature within it. It's an add-on, but I think that the main thing there is the platform.
Basically, we've been building a CRM. We have a few clients using it. We're testing different tools and stuff. But we've been putting a lot of time into building a really powerful CRM for our clients and pretty much any agent. I come from a real estate background, so I have a really good idea of how CRMs work and what the importance of it is. And right now we're just putting, a fundamental or like an essential CRM together that every agent should be using with really powerful capabilities. So, a place to store your data and all of your contacts, a pipeline for you to be able to manage, deals that are coming through from your contact list and deals that are coming through that are new people you met. So people that you met on an open house, people that you met through an advertisement, and all of those things to really push them through your pipeline and have more control of, your income. Yeah, and we have features with, marketing as far as like newsletters and drip campaigns and workflows. So, newsletters would be, your monthly newsletter to all of your clients, updating them with whatever type of updates you would like. We're providing our clients with templates to make it as easy as possible. So just with a few clicks and some things you could edit, you should be able to send out a newsletter. And then workflows is really, really important. So our workflows is a streamlined process that you can do over and over again. So if you have a buyer, if you have a seller, all of those little steps that you have to do, all those little checklists that you need to do to get the deal through, that's what that workflow will look like. From a person barely, wanting to shop and, buy real estate to people that are, ready to pull the trigger and are already pre-approved. So there's that stuff, which is probably the main components. And we have like, lastly, a website that's built for conversions, built for getting people into your pipeline. Oh, and lastly, a calendar. So this calendar is a place where people can book calls with you. So, through your website or through your social media, if someone really wants to talk to you, obviously they can call you. But if they wanted to book a consultation with you, you can provide that there for them to book. So pretty much running the main components of the business. If you look at all the different softwares that add up to be able to do all this, it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month you spend on, Calendly, a newsletter, let's say MailChimp for a newsletter, and a CRM for holding your contacts, and a website provider. And it all adds up, and it's not centralized. It's all over the place. So we're creating a hub for a powerful CRM that's a hub for all of your technology. And yeah, we're just finishing up with some pricing, some little details on it to actually be able to bring it to market and over provide, over deliver that value. So I know that's a whole
Mhm.
lot, but that's kind of like a rundown of what we've been talking about.
Yeah, no, I think you did a great job explaining it. I think that if there was anything I would add that may be of value are the contracts that you can use, the document center. So this is also removing an app like Adobe Sign or DocuSign or Acrobat, I guess, whatever it is. But removing those apps also and those costs associated with sending out contracts, you can all do it all in one place, and then you could really, like you were saying, just harness a streamlined process by using that document as a trigger, so that when somebody's wanting to sign a buyer agreement or seller agreement or whatever it is, you can start sending them automated emails and updates and stuff like that based upon them completing that signature. So I feel like that there are just tons of ways that we can really help realtors or even groups. Would you like, how would you describe the perfect candidate for something like this that we're building?
Well, I think every agent needs a CRM no matter what. So, I mean, it's kind of built for everybody. It has essentials in it. I would say also for, the person that isn't super up to speed with all the technology out there, and maybe has a lot of different subscriptions, and, is trying to do a lot of different things. I think that would be the ideal person to, like, okay, let's consolidate our tech stack and put, all of our time into one platform, and do everything in one place. I mean, we've done that in our business as well. A lot of businesses have a lot of different technologies and a lot of softwares they subscribe to, and we're building, one that's an all-in-one. So if you have a ton of subscriptions and you want to consolidate your software and technology stack, this is a great product for you.
Yeah. I think that's a great point, is the all-in-one solution aspect of it and being able to manage your clients and customers in one place and being able to categorize them in different ways. So whether they're buyers or sellers, or they're interested in one or two bedroom places, or whatever it may be, you could do that all with the Omni CRM. So I think for anybody listening, if you're interested in something like that, or you would like to know more about it, just let us know. And we would be more than happy to hop on a call with you and show you a demo about it. How about we kind of touch on why we wanted to get into this software, and creating a software product for maybe those business owners or creators that are looking to sell a product?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I have always been interested in software. You and I, our first business together was a mobile app, so we're familiar with software and its scalability and the impact it has on businesses. So, first and foremost, I think that we've always had that interest that kind of led us down this path. But over the last 5 years, 5 6 years, we've really became kind of like a coach and a consultant to a lot of our clients. And I think that we understand a lot of problems that they face, right? And understanding, how they can grow their business and maybe these problems that they face, and what kind of solutions can we provide them. And that was sort of the start of getting more into software and coming up with more solutions for realtors. We started out with listing media, and then we had, clients say, "Hey, can you make, some social media content for us?" And that kind of led us down that way. And then clients asking, "Hey, can you do like emails for us? Can you do like newsletters? Can you do websites?" And we started just kind of picking and pulling at a lot of different points in the real estate business. And we're like, how do we come up with something that we can really, really get good at and create a really good product? So rather than just doing one-off projects here and there, with our understanding of what our clients need, and probably thinking that it's very similar to many other clients. Um, this is what we should be working on. That kind of led us down this path. But what about you? What do you think? What are you most interested in with like the whole CRM and things like that? And how do you kind of see this panning out?
I think that the most like attractive aspect of it is being able to build it once and resell it. And I say that kind of loosely because we intend on creating different workflows and adding them and updating them to our premium users. I feel like the overall aspect of it can be built once and reused. And I think that is very scalable in that sense. And then also it being just a software that you can sell to anybody. They don't have to be in our location. Like our listing media stuff, it takes a little bit more for us to expand, and it takes a lot more. It's a higher barrier to entry. And I think that with software, it's making it look really good, function well, and then putting it in the hands of people who need it. And I think that's probably what I'm most excited about. But I think, yeah, it's been a journey. Like we've been adding certain things to our business, and it really started with listing media, to whereas now we're kind of just, I feel, closing the loop on the ecosystem of the marketing that takes place for realtors, right? It starts with listing media, then it goes into flyers and print material that we offer as well. And then it starts going into the way that our clients talk with their clients. So using the CRM or email campaigns. The only thing we really haven't gotten into yet is facilitating open houses, right? But if we were to, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what that would look like other than creating marketing materials for their open houses. But if there was some way too that we could get into that, and I know I've probably floated an idea or two about that, but nothing worth discussing now because we're not doing it yet. But I think that just really creating a full halo effect of these different products, I think that's exciting too.
So I know we've both been talking about building our personal brands and kind of reaching out to a wider audience for the different interests we have. And although Nate and we have a lot of similarities, but we also have a lot of different strengths. So we're definitely kind of building our personal brands to kind of hit on our different strengths and our skill sets to, build this audience to, eventually, hopefully, funnel interest and value into our different businesses that we have. So personally, I want to work on building my brand around content creation and working with different content creators and like the business side of content creation to, eventually, lead them down that way to Shooter, what we're building, because I really think it's going to be very powerful for that content creator. So I wanted to talk a little bit about like photography, kind of so we could have some snippets out of here for photographers and such. And then I'd like to maybe touch base on some of the stuff that you're wanting to talk about with like CRM and software. So if unless there's anything else you wanted to cover for yourself. So let's talk a little bit about for like independent photographers and stuff. When we first started out, what do you think was like the most important thing to most important like software and stuff to install into our business?
Like from the very beginning.
Yeah, from the very beginning. So say there's a viewer out there and they're starting to do real estate, or say they are a content creator and they want to break into real estate. What do you think is the most important software to use to start, that business?
A website.
A website. Start with a website.
Yeah, I don't know if that really counts or if that's what you're looking for, but I think a website and the way that you present yourself is extremely important, especially if you're trying to walk into 2 million, 10 million, $30 million homes. If you're trying to get in and you want an opportunity, you have to at least look like you're supposed to be there.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Now, do you think as a new business, starting to show like your portfolio of real estate photography that you've built, where do you think a majority of people are going to discover you first? Do you think it's going to be through like Google? Do you think it's going to be through social media? Or where do you think people are like discovering their photographers?
I think a lot of it comes from word of mouth. And I think that that comes from the experience you provide. And if you're able to integrate some sort of referral aspects into the way you do business, I think that's going to be the leader. But I think that if you're looking to get your name out there and showcase your portfolio, of course, have a website, it makes you look professional. Next, it's going to be social media. And the reason why I say that is because you can really build an audience there. And social media has been growing into a place where it's where you want to conversate with or converse with your ideal client. Makes it so much easier to just to send somebody a DM or leave a comment on one of their posts and just ask them a question. And that's what social media is intended for. I think that the way that people are doing business now is not really so direct, although you should be doing that as well. But I think social media is going to be definitely a key aspect of that.
Yeah, definitely. I think lead generation is, the most important thing in any business because without new business, you're just sitting there with talent, And I think that, like you said, DMs are super powerful. If you could go in and find, real estate agents in your market and DM them and engage with them. And, when they do click on your profile, it's all cleaned up, right? It's all cleaned up. It shows your work. It shows, some faces, shows who you work with, and it shows, all of that stuff, probably your face too, so someone could kind of see who you are, and like a link in the bio to get them to your booking page, or at least a booking page or a website.
What is one strategy that you would give to a creator who's just starting out, a way to market their business? How would you do that?
I think you have to create something cool and exciting that stands out and is a little bit different than everyone else. And that could just be one piece of content, one piece of content that goes very, very far. A really, really cool video tour or something. And, in order to get business and in order to get new realtors to hire you to create content, you have to offer something different than they already have, right? And I would highly encourage you, if you are in the business, don't just try and undercut everybody else, because in the end of the day, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot, right? You have to do something differently. I think it's a good opportunity to do video tours differently. Maybe do some content that's like low hanging fruit that a lot of other larger agencies aren't focusing on, like creating content with the agent and doing like community footage and different things. Like a lot of agents want that, but a lot of agencies aren't really offering that because it's hard to get it right, but you could at least get your foot in the door with some really good clients that want that really custom type of stuff. I would say most of the agencies are not going to the custom stuff. They're mostly, doing easily repeatable type of content at a very high quality and, turnaround time next morning. So I think if you want to do something a little bit different to get those clients, is just be creating something a little more custom. And eventually once you have the client, then you could kind of streamline it and then get onto doing something easily repeatable.
And so let me ask you a question. If you were a creator who was juggling the content creation aspect of the business as well as promoting and marketing yourself, how would you handle that?
That's a good question. I think you got to make time. You got to set boundaries around your schedule. If you're a one-person show, maybe you shoot for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you say Tuesday and Thursdays are days that I'm going to work on my business. I would say something like that is probably going to be your best bet. And just stick to something simple. Don't try and overdo it. Say I'm going to post, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or if you do every day of the week, put it into a scheduler and do all of your scheduling at the end of the week for the next week, and just do something like that. So that way you're not having to dive in and, do it every day. One thing I've learned is if you lose a lot of time in between switching tasks. So if you're shooting the content and then you're editing and then you're trying to promote, by the end of the day, you're like, dude, what did I even do? I didn't get nothing done. So it's really easy to dedicate your entire day to something very specific. So yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
And I think too, I really wanted to touch on this, and a lot of agencies don't really talk about this, but if you are a real estate photographer trying to get into it, you need to have an editing team. You need to have a team abroad that will edit your content at a very high quality, and send it to you in the next day, the next morning. A problem that everyone faces when they first start out their business is they want to edit the content, they want it really high quality, and they can't really promise the delivery time, right? So say if you shoot a property today, the client says, when am I going to get it? You tell them tomorrow, but tomorrow you have another shoot and you fell asleep editing last night. Now you're going to lose a client because you told them one thing and you didn't deliver. So, for those of you hesitant to getting a editor, I would, I would recommend thinking twice. And you have to think that when you're building your business with your editor, that should be your right-hand man or woman, or, whoever it is helping you. Their style of editing needs to be a part of your business. If they edit something and it doesn't look entirely like your style, well, find a different editor. Or if you're okay with their edits, you have to show the client what your deliverable is, because that's part of your business. They're part of your business. And at scale, once you have a lot of business going on, a lot of shoots, it's just so much easier to have an editor that works for you. And there's a lot of great ones out there. So I'd recommend getting an editor.
Excellent piece of advice. Got to grow the team.
And the cool thing about that too is, it's not like you're paying them as a full-time job. You pay them per project. So it's just a variable cost. So the more you shoot, the more money you make. Also, they make more as well. I want you to ask me a question about accounting and running books. I want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Let's do it. So if you were in a position where you didn't have all of the software that you needed to keep track of your business, or even the know-how of how to operate your business financially, where would you start?
Okay, that's a great question. So I run the accounting and the bookkeeping for our business. I've been doing it for the last 5 years. I really enjoy looking at numbers and tracking our progress and different things like that. In shortest form, start with Excel and have a template that tracks all the information, like the address, the client, the billable amount, and if they paid or not, and all of these things. You're going to think yourself later, after you have a year's worth of books going into the following year, knowing kind of what to expect during different seasons, right? Because there's definitely different seasons in real estate photography. From November to January, it's very, very slow. So you can't expect to make a ton of money that time. And that's when you should really be enjoying your time off, or, working on your business and not stressing that, you're not busy or that you don't have enough money. So save during that time. But secondly, in our first year of business, we probably did about 150 grand. I would say about $20,000 of that 150 grand, we never collected. And I didn't really think of it, as we were kind of going through. I was just not worried, but kind of focused on getting the next job. I'd do the accounting every month, and then we'd start hitting people up like, hey, you didn't pay yet. And we were doing all of our invoices manually, and I'd, send them over, and people just weren't paying. And I tried to call them and they wouldn't answer. And I was like, dude, this is a huge problem. This is not sustainable. So, eventually we had to look into other software where, eventually it became a point where when you delivered a project, there was an invoice automatically created and sent over to the client where they could pay into a portal. That first software we used was called Go Full Frame, and it changed our business entirely. It was a huge improvement from what we currently were doing at that time. We used them for about 2 years, and I got a call from a new company that was starting to gain traction, and that was Ario. And Ario had a feature that was just forever going to change our business for the accounting side of things. Was it locked all downloads before being able to before payment was made. So essentially, if someone wants their content, they have to pay before receiving it. So that was like huge. I mean, I spent at least a good full day every single month collecting and creating invoices and trying to call people. And man, that's tough. It's not a fun job. But now, kind of going headway into that problem and having it constantly, you see that opportunity once you face that problem enough, right? And that's when I was like, we need to switch. We need to do that. And, luckily that platform offers really good tools for individual creators as well as teams and stuff. So we use them for our payment processing and stuff like that. And it's really cool. They offer us reports where we can see kind of the data of how many books we're getting per month, year over year, month to month, and stuff. So it's a very, very, very good tool to have as a creator.
Yeah, I definitely recommend REO. Even their support is really, really good. And I think that's very important when going into starting or running a business is the support you can provide your clients, but also the support you're getting from some of these companies that you're paying hundreds or thousands of dollars to. And I would totally keep that in mind.
So let's talk about some stuff on your front. Tell me a little bit about what your personal brand looks like and some of the things that you're trying to focus on this year.
Yeah. So, what I'm trying to do with my personal brand is focus a little bit more on the operations and the systems of running a business. So, I don't know if that is just talking to founders or maybe people in executive positions, but I do feel like something that I'm interested in creating my brand around is just the aspect of doing business and entrepreneurship and what it takes to sustain a successful business. And I think that plays hand in hand into just what we're doing is founding these other companies that we're doing and just showing how somebody can operate and run a successful business while also having a solid product. And that's what I want to focus on. Um, I like the design of designing an idea and bringing it to fruition. So that's kind of what I'm looking to focus on this year.
Yeah. It's funny because, as kids, we play with Legos and it's like, you're building something and, you're following little directions and you kind of have this goal of creating something. And it's very much like what we do nowadays with, building some sort of solution or, some sort of software or process and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about what you enjoy building? What do you enjoy building most?
I don't know if I don't know if it's part of my OCD or what it is, but I seem to find inefficiencies in things and I try and fix it. So when I see there's problems arising in a way or process that people are doing things, I tend to want to provide a solution for it. And now knowing a lot of these different software tools that are out there, I like to build systems that fix those problems that people are having. So I just like being able to connect different things, automate it, and just see a result that makes things like super easy. So I think that a large part of the enjoyment I receive is finding a solution and building it and just seeing it work. There's nothing better than spending days building a system and then seeing it work the way that you intended. I think just like the other day when I built that preferred vendor system, it was like Blake was telling me, "Oh, there's an issue here or something," and then try to fix it. And then all of a sudden, I looked and I see like people are moving to the right stages of the pipeline, and that was all I was concerned about. I was like, I can fix the other stuff, but I'm just glad that part worked. So that's what I enjoy.
That's a really good thing, man. And being able to understand that. And I think to be an entrepreneur, you have to solve problems. That's really all it is. It's solving problems. It's solving problems within your business or helping people solve their problems. And I think that the fact that you like run towards these things and not run away from them is the reason why you're an entrepreneur and the reason why you're successful and stuff like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's challenging. I think that's probably why I like it too. I tell people that I used to be very competitive in athletics going through my childhood and high school and stuff like that. And as I got into college, I'm not playing sports anymore. I played it my whole life. And I like to tell people now that business is my sport. And I'm super competitive in business and I will do what it takes to win because at the end of the day, this has become my livelihood. And this is what's putting food on the table for myself, my wife, and our future family. So you start to get into a very different way, or you start seeing things a very different way once you get to this level when you're a full-time entrepreneur and all you have is business. It's like you can't, like, if you were to come in and think that you were going to take some aspect, and I'm not talking to you directly, I'm talking to some hypothetical person thinking that they could come into whatever it is that we're trying to create. I mean, good luck, because you're going to have a tough time outplaying just even myself, let alone Logan. And I mean, there's two of us, and together there's three. So it's like if you're able to, go after something and it aligns with what it is we're trying to do, I mean, let the games begin. So,
It's fun. There's so many different ways to, do the same thing or a similar thing. And, a lot of the things that we've created are things that already exist out there, but it's, us going out to compete in the broader market. And that's healthy. That's what drives everything forward. I mean, you need it. It's healthy, but you can't get complacent, and a lot of people at the top get complacent, and that's when they fall down. Right. So, I mean, we're climbing.
yeah, I think a good example is like electric cars, right? And before Tesla really started to push forward, there wasn't really much innovation in the way that cars looked, let alone the interior, the interfaces of how people operated a vehicle. And then all of a sudden, it really pushed people forward to start innovating, creating these new cars and ways that cars function, whether if it's electric or hybrid. And I think it really is essential because, I mean, I welcome competition. Like, good luck winning, but I welcome it. I need you to feel the innovation that we're inserting into our business. And without that, I mean, you're going to just churn out crap products because, I'm going to use this as an example. I love Apple, and I love Steve Jobs. I'm almost finished with his biography, and the way that he saw innovating products is completely different than the Apple that I feel like I know today. And Mark Zuckerberg actually hit on it. Was he was mentioning how the iPhone like is a product that they've been riding since Steve Jobs. Like, they've been riding on the coattails of this iPhone. And if you put them all up, if you put all these iPhones together, they do the same things, right? Maybe they're a little bit faster because they have a little bit more or higher processing power and memory. But um, like I respect Mark Zuckerberg in the fact that he saw virtual reality, he saw this new thing and was innovative, or even his meta glasses, like pushing the needle forward to spur innovation. And it makes me really sad actually that Apple doesn't have that desire. I feel like they're just playing it safe. And I get it, when you're $1 trillion company, you don't want to lose a bunch of money for your stakeholders. But I would just hope that somebody could come in there and shake things up and just push them forward, because somebody else will.
Absolutely. That's a very good point. Yeah, I saw that podcast with Zuckerberg too. And afterwards, I've always been a fan of him. I thought he's cool. But afterwards, I was like, dude, this guy's, I like him a lot more. So that was a really good episode. And that's what I'm saying, and I think that Apple has built pretty much, a stronghold based on their app store and everything within the iPhone, and they're really just kind of keeping that keeping that close. But I'm waiting for something else, like what do we need? What does the market need? And I think that, I mean, beyond an iPhone, they're making a lot of money, but I want them to be innovative. I want them to create something, I mean, insanely different, right? Or just something. They talked about doing an Apple car, and then they dropped that. They talked about doing, I mean, I think that
Even the VR goggles,
their VR goggles. I mean, but see, that's the thing, is
they stopped.
having a business owner or a leader like Steve Jobs and bringing the VR Apple goggles to market would have been totally different than what they did.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It would have been totally
100%.
different, and it would have worked. And
Hmm.
that shows that within the leadership of a company, the execution and delivery of a plan goes all the way through. I mean, come on, come on. I'm waiting for something new.
Yeah. I actually started to see outside of the halo effect of Apple once I saw that they partnered with OpenAI to power Siri. I thought that was complete just dropping the ball. And the reason why I say that is because we've had these handheld devices for years. We've had the same iCloud accounts for years, collecting the way that all of the data of how we use this iPhone. How many, I mean, just look at screen time. It tracks how long you're on all these random apps. And, like the way that we've been giving Apple our data and through text messaging and the keyboard strokes and like, you're telling me that you have to partner with somebody else to develop an operating system, artificial intelligent assistant? Like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, that was just, and, you know, reading the book and biography with Steve Jobs is like, he did not welcome outside companies creating products that functioned inside of Apple. So like that itself was a complete like 180 turn from what Steve Jobs actually wants done with Apple. That would kind of make it a little bit more open source kind of ish. Not really, but they're welcoming some other company to come in and give their technology on their platform like that. And yeah, I think that itself was just a complete showcase of how unoriginal Apple has been.
I think that maybe they're like, okay, we're behind in this race. I mean, AI is the big conversation and everyone's talking about it. I think that they're like, we're behind in this race. We know it. We need to partner with the top person to stay relevant in this race. And eventually, I think they will. I don't know if they're capable or if they'd be willing to actually buy them, acquire them, or if that's an open conversation, or just use them until theirs is actually built out and they have the team and they understand it. And then, kind of like what they did with the chips by creating, Apple chips, but previously they used,
Yeah.
Different chip provider. So,
But the fact that they're in that situation, that's the problem, right?
complacency.
I mean, that's all we've ever wanted was this actually functional Siri assistant. And they had the opportunity to like give us the holy grail and completely just destroy the competition. Like they didn't need people to even go and download something. Like it was already there, downloaded on our phones, and completely dropped the ball.
I think something that they can focus on that it's not going to be the prettiest and sexiest thing that Apple will create, and they've kind of talked about in the past was kind of like privacy and stuff like that. But I think as we kind of enter this modern era with a lot of different technologies and a lot of different things coming to market, I think having the most secure and private phone and control of like your data and all of your information is going to be more important than ever before, because we have so much information on our phones that it cannot be accessed by other people, for securities, for your banking information, for your password manager, for everything you have on your phone that is supposed to be private. I mean, now that you have these applications coming in, I mean, it could just be a very, very powerful AI that can just read information, take information that has some sort of backdoor in an app that we download or something, and it just can infiltrate people's data and security. And I think that they need to do whatever they can to protect their users. And it's not sexy. It's not a sexy new product, but it's something that's going to become more important than ever before. Is cybersecurity. And how all of your information is secure.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I know that we're at an hour and 15 minutes already. So time has just flown, and I'm sure we could continue talking for another hour and 15 minutes. But why don't we touch on the last thing that we've been working on diligently and just talk about that for a little bit with Shooter.
Yeah, we've been working on Shooter. For those of you guys who have not heard of it before, it's our latest development. It's a marketplace for content creators to be discovered, as well as for content creators to manage their business. And right now we're in the development stage, building our back end, and just kind of getting everything as dialed as possible, so that way we can launch our beta. So I know, Nate, you're working closely with our development team and putting all these things together. How are things going, and when do you think we're gonna have a beta available for people?
It's a good question. So, I mean, the whole front end is is complete and it's kind of functional. I mean, you can't run payments and stuff through it yet, but you can get a really good sense of how to use it. But I see here, like you mentioned, we're working on the back end. We're completing the admin panel so that we can go in there and find the different data that we need in order to operate it efficiently. But I think that here, hopefully by the end of the first quarter, we can get something out there, and that would be a really good target. I know that we were shooting to shooting, no pun intended, shooting to get it done by the start of 2025, but things happen, and we just have to make sure that what we put out there is good. And it's been a great experience overall, though. Our development team is grade A, and I feel like that the product that we've been working on is going to be game changer.
Absolutely. And I think that we've put so much emphasis on our UI that we want it to be beautiful. We want it to be easy to navigate, and we want to get rid of any clutter, any unnecessary stuff. So I think that's going to be so important. And then just the different algorithms of discovering content creators and finding the right people is going to be a huge important factor in how this app works and stuff. So it's a lot of little playing parts and things that you don't think about that kind of set us back a little bit, but I'm glad we're getting that all dialed in.
I'm a little reluctant to talk about all of the features that we have in there, just because I would like something in beta at least before we start giving away all the secrets. But if you're interested, you could go to shooter.io. Shooter is spelled SHOOTR.io. And then you could see a little bit of the look and feel of it, of what we're creating. And then you could see some of the different selling points of why somebody should use it. And yeah, like you said, the UI and even the UX has to be just really good. And I feel that the experience, if it's intuitive, is something that is going to really make it successful. And I think also our strategy about how we intend on rolling out is going to be different than a lot of the competitors that we have. And part of that strategy just is going to make sure that we have the right people on the platform to service these people who are interested in these photo shoots and video shoots and all of the above. So I feel like, yeah, it's been a really fun experience. And I think it's going to be very helpful for creators out there, including ourselves. And it's something that is built for creators by creators. And I feel like we know a lot of the ins and outs of running a creative business, and having an app that can facilitate everything is going to be game changer.
Absolutely. And what's crazy is, I really, really believe in this, and I believe in us. And I'm excited to see this tail end of the episode in a few years to kind of see how things are going. It kind of reminds me of those early interviews of Zuck talking about Facebook as a Harvard, social platform, to then, it being a college social platform, to then it being what we know of it as today. So we definitely have our intentions and who we want to help and things like that. But I'm excited to see, once people use it, how we can better assist them and how we can create a product that really, really changes the world and has as much impact as possible.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Did you have anything else you wanted to discuss before we close out here?
No, I'm good. I think that's it. Founders Day podcast with the founders. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Absolutely. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. You can find us on Instagram at Clout Agents. And if you have any feedback about what we're talking about or things that we can improve on, please let us know. We're constantly trying to make everything we do that much better. So thanks again for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time. See ya.